During my baptism, the pastor asked my mom, "Same deal as the last one?" I was 7 years old when I got baptized at St. Augustine's Church, and that's the day everything started unraveling. The church smelled like incense and something metallic I couldn't place. My older sister Olivia sat in the front pew looking gray and hollow, and when I waved at her, she turned away like seeing me hurt. Pastor William stood beside the baptismal font with this expression that wasn't quite a smile, more like the face you make when you're about to do something unpleasant but necessary. My mom's fingers dug into my shoulder hard enough to leave marks through my white dress. The families in the pews looked uncomfortable, some even sad, like they were witnessing something they wished they could stop but couldn't. That's when Pastor William leaned down close to my mom and said it. His voice was low, but I was standing right between them at the perfect height to hear every word. Same deal as the last one? There was no warmth in his tone, just this cold transactional quality like he was confirming a business arrangement. My mom's entire body went rigid and her fingers clenched on my shoulder so hard I had to bite my lip to keep from crying out. She nodded once, sharp and fast, and wouldn't look at him. Pastor William's eyes dropped to me for just a second and something flickered across his face. Pity mixed with resignation, like he was sorry but not sorry enough to stop whatever was happening. Then he poured the holy water over my forehead, and the water felt wrong. Too cold, almost burning. My mom rushed us out to the car before anyone could talk to us, practically dragging me by the arm. In the car, I asked what Pastor William meant about the last one, and my mom's hands shook on the steering wheel. Her voice was too bright and fake when she finally spoke. She said Pastor William was talking about church donation arrangements, but her eyes were red and wet, and I knew she was lying. That night, I heard my parents fighting through the walls, my dad saying we can't do this again, and my mom sobbing, we already took the money, and something about a contract. The next morning, Olivia was gone. Not gone like she'd left for school early, but gone like someone had erased her from the house. Her bedroom was perfectly neat like she'd been expecting to leave. My parents said Olivia went to stay with relatives in Vermont, but I'd seen Olivia the night before, and she'd looked at me with hollow eyes and said, "I'm sorry I can't protect you." When I pushed for details, my dad told me to stop asking questions, his voice sharp with an edge I'd never heard before. That afternoon, I went looking for Olivia's things. Her room was too clean, almost sterile, like someone had scrubbed away any evidence she'd existed. But when I checked under her mattress, I found a journal wedged into the bed frame. My hands shook as I pulled it out and saw her handwriting on the first page. "If you're reading this, Natalie, they've already started. Get out while you can." According to the journal, our parents had made a deal with the church before we were born. They'd been drowning in debt, facing foreclosure and bankruptcy. Pastor William had approached them with an offer. The church had connections to a medical research organization that would pay families to allow their children to participate in genetic enhancement trials. Parents would receive immediate financial relief and ongoing payments, and the children would supposedly benefit from treatments that would make them healthier and smarter. All they had to do was sign a contract agreeing to let the church monitor and treat their children from age 7 until age 18. My parents had signed me and Olivia into the program before we were even born. Olivia wrote that the treatment started when she turned 7. Monthly visits to a doctor named Vivian Cross, who would draw blood and inject her with things she called genetic catalysts. At first, the shots just made her tired, but around age 14, everything changed. The injections started making her violently sick. Her hair fell out in clumps. She'd wake up with nosebleeds that wouldn't stop. She begged our parents to let her quit, but they said the contract was legally binding with no way out. If they tried to stop the treatments, the church would sue them for breach of contract and demand repayment of all the money, plus penalties that would destroy the family financially. The contract was designed to trap families into compliance through fear and debt. Olivia had tried to research the organization, but found almost nothing. The company was called Genesis Evolution Institute, and it operated through shell corporations that made it nearly impossible to trace. When Olivia searched for Dr. Vivian Cross, she found articles about a researcher who'd been banned from conducting human trials after multiple deaths. The last entries in the journal were barely legible, written in shaking handwriting. She wrote that the treatments were killing her. Her organs were failing and she was having seizures, but Dr. Cross kept insisting they were normal adjustment reactions. In the final entry, dated just 2 days before my baptism, Olivia wrote that she'd overheard Pastor William telling our parents they'd need to bring me in for baseline testing soon, that my treatments would begin within months now that I'd been baptized and officially entered into the program. She wrote that if I found her journal, I should run, just grab whatever I could and disappear before they started the treatments, because once they began, there was no escape. I sat on her bed reading those words over and over, my heart pounding so hard I thought I might pass out. My sister wasn't visiting relatives in Vermont. Something terrible had happened to her, and now I was next in line. I heard footsteps in the hallway, and that's when the story took a dark turn. The rest of the story is on my channel or linked below.